Welcome, Modupe. It's so good to have you here, live in the studio.
Yeah.
People have seen you on some pre-records, but why don't you just start, for those that don't know you, by introducing yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Modupe. I've been going to Emmanuel for it'll be 5 years next year.
Very good.
I've been a Christian since the age of 18. And I have a son, Samson.
Okay, yep.
He's 10.
Solid biblical name there, I like it.
Samson, he's strong. Yeah, and I work in communications and content.
Okay.
And yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Great stuff. So the communications and content bit, some people will know what you're talking about and some people won't.
No.
Not just simply because some of us aren't always the best at communications, but tell us a little bit more about what does that mean, how long you've been doing it?
Yeah, so I've been working in that sector for about 10 years now, since I left uni, and it's basically helping, if it's a brand, if it's a charity, communicate, if it's on social media, in newsletters, in email, on the website, but just telling their story, engaging their audiences through video, images, whatever it is.
Superb. So I know at the beginning of this year you were working for Cath Kidston.
I was.
Which made my wife really excited. But when she found out you weren't going to send her loads of bags and stuff, it was like it all changed. But tell us, something shifted obviously at the beginning of this year. Everything seems to be going well. Tell us a little bit about the journey just as lockdown started to come and the whole industry was hit in an incredible way. Tell us a bit about
So there were so many retailers that were really struggling because stores were closing. So unfortunately Cath Kidston went into administration, which meant all of the stores closed and only 10% of the workforce was saved.
Wow.
So it was a very challenging time. I think for a while we kind of had feeling that something was going to happen, but we didn't realise it was going to be in administration.
That's huge. And what happened just personally? So as I know there were some changes for your own role and within team. Tell us a little bit about that.
So the day before it happened, my role was moved into the digital team all of a sudden, and I didn't understand why, because even though it's social media, we sit within marketing, so it made no sense to me. And then the following day, I then realised that the whole of the digital team was saved, in a sense that they would not lose their jobs in the administration, whereas the rest of the workforce would.
Wow.
So my job was safe.
Okay.
I thought it was safe. And then by the end of the day, I then was told that I was being made redundant. However, the blessing in that was, in me being moved to a new team, the one that was saved, I didn't lose my job in the administration. I was made redundant, which meant that I received a redundancy package. So even though I was out of a job, it meant I would kind of stay afloat for the next 3 months at least, which was such a blessing. Yeah,
a massive blessing. But I mean, let's just press pause on that for a moment, because that day, I suppose, some people will be able to relate to that, even now, as people are watching on and they can relate to the day that they've been made redundant. And tell us a little bit about how you were feeling, the emotions of that day, what was going on for you as you find out that news. And
I mean, it was such a shock, but being honest, I've spoken to a lot of people just about my job. I love social media, I love marketing as well. However, I always question just how meaningful what I was doing in terms of what I'm selling. Like, bottom line is very much, what's the ROI? How many sales have been made? And I'm a very purposeful person, meaning is very important to me. So whenever I had a conversation about how my job was going, I was like, it's great, but I'm not sure how meaningful it is. So that's something I was always praying about. So when the redundancy actually happened, although it was very bitter, I kind of felt like God was leading me out of it. So there was that. This is very, very hard for a lot of us, but I can see God's hand in it, and I can see that God wants to do something great. So I had that bit of comfort in what was happening.
And that's amazing. So because you'd been walking with the Lord and pursuing him really for a shift in your work, there's a comfort there as the redundancy comes. What happens then? So you get made redundant. It's incredible that you got moved team the day before. What a blessing, and just the hand of God in that. What happens afterwards then? So you get made redundant. What do the next few weeks, months look like?
So funny enough, the day after I was made redundant, I received another job offer. Like straight away, I didn't apply for it or anything, but it was for another retailer. And I remember thinking, okay, God, this is great. I mean, we're in a pandemic. People are losing their jobs. This isn't like, and I felt, okay, you should take the job. Everyone's saying take the job. But I just felt like, no, God wants to do something greater. He hasn't led me out of one retailer to go straight into another one. Like, he wants me to do something meaningful with my gifting. So I turned down the job offer. And I was like, okay, God, well, here I am now. I don't know what you want me to do, but I'm going to keep trusting. It was definitely months of acting in faith, but then there was also a lot of fear. So sometimes I was just applying for jobs because I was getting worried, having interviews, not getting them, thinking I made a mistake and turning the first job down. But there was just this just knowing that God's presence was there and just knowing that he wanted me to do something, I just needed to just keep waiting on him. And then as time went on, I came across this charity that was all about social transformation being led by the church. So for a long time during lockdown, there was a lot of things happening. And I remember speaking to God saying, I feel like the church aren't responding to injustice in the nation. Like, what is the church's response? Why aren't we doing anything? And that was just a prayer on the side. It had nothing to do with my career. And then I come across a charity that is part of a church that focused on social transformation, so feeding like homeless, all different things. And I applied for it, and then I got it.
Wow. I mean, that is literally remarkable, because that moment where the first job came, people must have been saying, this is provision from God, go for it. And you're like, they must have taken quite a big step of faith for you just to reject that and just say, I'm going to trust God. It's amazing, well done. It's awesome. So tell us a little bit now, what's going on for you with that world, that job? Is it going well? Are you loving life?
I mean, it's only been a month so far, but it's been so incredible just seeing that the church are so passionate about reaching people who aren't part of the church already. So, seeing that there's a need of like food poverty in the nation and knowing that the church has the resources to respond to this, going into, blocks of flats or people living rough and just providing for them. And it's very much, we want to meet you in our need. We are Christians, but we're not pushing that to you. We just want to help you out. And just, so it's not just that, it's, working with families as well, working with children, but it's just incredible being in the atmosphere that we are all Christians, but we're just so passionate about helping all of God's people.
That's awesome.
So it's been incredible so far.
And just finished, we're running out of time, but just before we go any further, can you just tell us a little bit about what you've learned through all of this? What are some of the things that you've learned about
Oh my gosh, that God is faithful. He is so faithful. It's just amazing. And it's just, he cares about everything, like every bit of your life, every area. Like you can truly hand it over to him and he will look after it. You don't have to panic, you don't have to worry. And he just comes through. He really comes through. And I think there will definitely be seasons of fear, but just clinging on to him and knowing that he sees a bigger picture. Just to keep having faith.
It's so good. Modupe, honestly, thank you so much
for
trusting in God and for being with us today. I know it's going to have encouraged many of you, and I know for some of you you're going through exactly this story right now, but you're not at the point where the next stage in the story's come through yet. I want to encourage you, keep looking to your God. As Modupe just said, he is faithful, he does care, and he is interested in all the finer details. We've just heard another great story of God's faithfulness. If you've got a story that you want to share with us as a church, please do email us at prayer@emmanuelchurchlondon.org. We'd love to hear from you. But also, if you are walking through difficult situations right now, whether it be work, finance, or anything, to be honest, we are a church that loves to pray. So please do use that email as a way of getting in touch with us. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to pray for you.